see behind me, I already got a lot of work done. Currently, obviously, the first thing you need to do is pull your original motor. So I'm currently pulling the 2-valve motor. The past couple days, I've been pulling the engine harness and dismantling a few things, getting things unbolted so that I could pull this bitch out. Wrote down a nice list of things to do because you need to stay organized and make sure that you don't, fuck something up or not unbolt something and then all of a sudden you're trying to pull the engine and then it doesn't work out straight. So as you see, I got it up on stands and I got a jack on each side, lifting it up. And then I took the bumper off, the headlights, and the hood because I'm obviously going to need a cowl hood to fit the Ford Racing intake in it. But I had a friend help me the other day, a good friend of mine, and then I have another friend coming through today to try to help me as well. I didn't record the first start of it because it's just kind of boring, just unplugging the harness and fuel lines and stuff like that. But today I'm trying to get the rest of this list done so I could pull this out finally, sell the motor, sell the long tubes that I have on here, and then start working and adding my parts onto the 3-valve so that I could finally drop it in here. It's probably going to be another month or two because I have to get a few more parts. I have the majority of the parts, but I do need I need a new clutch and a new flywheel. Those are the most expensive things on my list, so that's going to take a little bit. But today I have to disconnect the power steering reservoir, the AC compressor, and the AC lines. I have to unbolt the long tubes off the mid pipe, just so I could, because I'm going to be pulling the motor out with the transmission and the long tubes attached. It's just a little easier for me that way. I have to disconnect the cross member support, release clutch cable, disconnect the trans electrical, unbolt the motor mounts, which I've never done before, so that's going to be interesting. Disconnect the radiator lower hoses, which I already drained the radiator fluid. So then I also have to disconnect the drive shaft, remove coolant reservoir brace, remove radiator fan, and then finally the trans cross member needs to be unbolted. And then I can use the cherry picker that I have in the back of my SUV. And then I got the chain leveler, so I can put that on the cherry picker and pull this out. I'm gonna turn the camera around now and kind of do a little walk around and show you what I did. But yeah, see you in a second. I pulled the throttle body off and the cold air intake as well. As actually at the start of when you want to pull your motor, the very first thing is to remove your battery because you don't want to short anything, especially if you're using your wire harness over again. And you don't want to get hurt as well. You never know what could happen. Because especially if fluid's going to be flying around and stuff when you're draining coolant and pulling hoses, disconnecting a fuel line and stuff like that. When you're doing shit like that, you need to make sure there's no current going through the car. So that is a safety thing there. Make sure you have good jack stands and at least 2 jacks on each side for support to raise up the back end of the car a little bit. But yeah, so I got a good amount of the list done thanks to my father and my friend. So yeah, so we took the alternator off because that's going to get swapped. That's going to be swapped right there at the top. As I said, there's some accessories that I'm going to be transferring over. So I'm reusing my alternator on the 2-valve. I'm going to be reusing my power steering pump down there, and that's just going to bolt right in. My oil filter mount gets transferred from one to the other, as well as my AC compressor. So luckily those things I already have, obviously. So it makes it a lot easier. But yeah, so here's the motor. I am getting rid of the intake today. Just certain parts that I just don't need. And luckily I get to reuse the wire harness. So I have the car up. So I got everything mostly done for the, for the top section. I still have to drain the power steering fluid and remove some hoses there, remove the fan, and disconnect the AC lines before. So the AC compressor is already unbolted. I just have to remove the lines so that I can pull it out and transfer it to the 3-valve motor. So we're getting there. Most of the work is going to be under the car now. So you see back there, you have to get back there and I have to disconnect or unbolt. Let's see if I can get a good. So I have to unbolt the long tubes there at the clamps that's connected to the mid pipe. Disconnect the trans electrical, all that, remove the drive shaft and such forth, so forth. So it's going to be kind of a bitch because it is cold in here. I got 2 little space heaters, but beyond that, just a little update. I'm going to come back when we get more stuff done. Bolts are annoying. I had WD-40 on some of the exhaust bolts and it's just a pain in the ass. But it's freezing in here, so I'm going to try to do the best I can to try to get these big ass bolts off. And then slowly work into unplugging more things, unbolting, and yeah, I'm gonna go from there. So I'll see you guys in a second, hopefully with some more. Oh yeah, actually, got some parts delivered today, super exciting. So I have, so that I could use my exhaust, I needed to get a custom 2-valve long tubes with 3V flanges welded to it. So got those delivered today. And then I have a Cobra 0304 throttle body in there with some charge motion delete plates. I'm pissed off because I had to get that for the stock intake. I didn't realize that the Ford Racing intake already had, it already has charge delete plates kind of built into it. So kind of wasted a little money there, but it's all good because I'll just resell them. So I got the Cobra throttle body, the new long tubes, and see if I can open up my list and kind of show what else we need to get. All right, so as you see in my list, these are all just random parts that I don't need yet, but so I need my throttle body. I have to still get the 0304 Cobra throttle and cruise cables. I need a makeshift Cobra throttle body spacer and bracket. I got a custom cold air intake. I got because you know the original Cobra cold air intake, it kind of like slants to the side, but to make this work for my engine, I had to get a couple custom parts, like a certain elbow. I got a 90 degree, I believe it was a 4.5 inch 90 degree elbow. I got what reducer? I got a 4 to 4.5 silicone reducer. I got a carbon fiber. Shit, I'm trying to remember all these sizes. I got a carbon fiber 6-inch with a 4-inch inner diameter or outer diameter pipe. I still have to get the IAC on the cold air intakes, just like a little spot that you put into the pipe so it could read the IAC. So I'm reusing my 2V alternator, AC, power steering, reusing the 3V. Video just ended, so I got to redo what I was just saying. So I'm reusing the 3V water pump. Got my 2-valve long tube headers with 3V flanges. That's so I don't have to deal with any welding or anything like that. It's already done for me. Just purchased a mass airflow sensor, the 90mm with an adapter and a 4-inch inlet filter. Reusing my transmission, I just need the stage 2 clutch and flywheel, which is the most expensive parts besides the hood and the tune. So I got to mount my 2-valve pressure sensor on the passenger side for the fuel rail. So a lot of people who want to do this 3-valve swap have realized that there's not a lot of information on this build. You have to really dig deep in the forums, and there's one group for this, but they're very vacant. There's not a lot of people that are still interested in messaging people back and posting on there, and a lot of the information is so very vague. So I'm going to do the best I can for those of you, because I know there's one of you already who wants to do this and they just do not have enough information. So basically how this works is it's basically Frankensteining this thing to work with your ECU and your wire harness and stuff like that. I explained in another video exactly what I have to do, but I want to be a little bit more clear. So the S197 takes the fuel from the driver's side, and in my new Edge it takes the fuel lines are on the passenger side. So I have to unbolt the fuel rails, swap them around about 180 degrees, and make sure that this sensor and fuel line connector is back here, and then this just gets swapped over here. So then I'll be able to unbolt this, or I could get a fuel pressure sensor adapter just so it fits into my harness. So I got that for the fuel rail. Intake, I don't have to do any work, thank God, because the charge motion delete plates are already fixed into this badass Ford Racing intake. I have to get the Cobra 0304 throttle body bolted on here with a spacer and then a custom bracket, because I still need to utilize throttle cable and stuff like that. So I have to get a bracket that shoots back and then extends out so that it can hold both cables, which I'll figure that out. Alternator, oil filter mount, water, power steering, and the AC is just being reused. I need to do the cam lockouts on the phasers in here, which I'm going to pay someone to do, because you don't want to fuck up when it comes to timing chains and such forth. I got fuel injector adapters so I could reutilize my harness, as well as when it comes to, so I believe it's 3V boots on 2V coils. Yeah, 3V boots and 2V coils, and from there that's about it when it comes down to that. And then it's just like extending like the TPS sensor and a few things like that, and then just getting custom hoses to kind of fit the length, because the 2-valve hoses are obviously different from the 3-valve. So yeah, so I'm almost done with my list. I just need to get a couple more things, like the clutch, the flywheel, and like cheap little remote IAC mount, because the remote IAC mount I believe is going to be bolted here, and one part of the vacuum line is going to go into the cold air intake that's going to come out this way, and then the other is going to be connected into this vacuum line here. So it's like it's not a very hard thing to do. It's just kind of makeshifting and seeing what works best for you and make sure that everything can still communicate with the stock 2-valve ECU. And there's a few other things that I'll go into detail as I'm actually putting this stuff together. So look out for that for those of you who are doing the 3V swap. So as you see, I have to do 2V coils, comp cam lockouts. I got to get a tune and a cowl hood. Little notes here for just, you know, basic stuff. I got to extend the cam position sensor from driver to passenger side. Plan on getting a short throw shifters pretty soon here. And then fuel rail transfer from driver's side to passenger side. I need a flange. I believe it was a fuel line adapter for that, and then a flange fuel line, just so I could do that. So yeah, so I'm gonna get back to it. I just want to explain a little bit how this is gonna go. And yeah, I'll update you guys once I get more stuff unbolted and stuff ready to get this 2-valve out. All right, so I have another update. I got the drive shaft out. It's a one-piece drive shaft, so it was a little bit easier to kind of get out. My buddy Sandro was able to get off one of the bolts for the, so that's still there, and then the other side he was able to get out. I still have to get that out, and then this one out, so then I could drop it and then unbolt the support there, so then I could access and get the clutch cable off and so on. So we're getting there. Still have a couple more things to do. He's taking his intake, and then I still got to do the fan. And so yeah, so one thing at a time. Takes a little bit because, you know, old bolts and stuff like that. But so drive shaft is done. Coolant reservoir I already took off the other day. Disconnected the trans electrical. That was easy as hell because I don't have O2, so I just cut the O2 wires. Fuck O2 sensors. But yeah, so I'm saving that because once I drop that, the exhaust is going to be, you know, the long tubes and everything is just going to be separated. So I want to disconnect the cross member support bar next, and then I'm going to work on disconnecting the power steering pump and draining the fluid. So I'll show another update in a second. All right, so we have another update here. So as you see, I got the wire harness zip tied up there just so it's out of the way. The intake is off, which is good, just makes better clearance. Took the radiator fan off, which is over there. Disconnected the AC line mount from the AC compressor to get that out. So the AC compressor is right there. So those are the parts I'm keeping, the alternator and the AC compressor. So I got that out of the way. Now, oh yeah, and then I cut the radiator hose because the clamps were just being annoying. So I just cut it because, you know, I need new hoses anyways, and it was just in my fucking way. So work smarter, not harder. So yeah, so lastly, I just need to, I need to remove the power steering pump and remove the hoses and the line there for that, just so it's out of the way, and then take that power steering pump off. And then I'm gonna clean up the garage a bit and then get to the last final parts before we could take this engine out. So I just have to, like I said, I gotta disconnect the power steering pump there. Still have 2 bolts on the long tubes that are connected to the mid pipe. I left them on because I didn't want the exhaust kind of in my face when I was trying to take the drive shaft off. So I'm gonna eat dinner in a second, and then I'm gonna come back and clean up the garage a tad just so I can organize all the tools and the mess I have from the coolant. And then I'm gonna unbolt the exhaust, then disconnect the cross member support, which is super easy. Release the clutch cable to get that out of the way. And then I'll go into the firewall and disconnect the throttle and the clutch cables. Then after that, I just gotta unbolt the motor mounts, then the trans cross member, I have to unbolt that, and then get the cherry picker out, push the car out a little bit so I have some space, and then we can get this bitch out finally. So yeah, we're getting there. One step at a time. It's fucking exhausting, it's cold in here. But I got my Cobra 0304, I didn't bolt it up completely, but got my Cobra 0304 OEM throttle body, just to kind of test fit, see how that looks. And then obviously got my drive shaft out, like I already said, the fan out of the way. Just sold that while I was working on that, so I sold the radiator for the 3-valve that I don't need. Yeah, so we're getting there. One step at a time, and then as you see, there's a little coolant on the ground. I'm gonna clean that up, get some lights under there, organize the shit out of this so that I could do my final parts and the motor mounts and the trans K member and support bar, whatever else I gotta do under there. And you know, it's always good to have a kind of clean area so you're just not you know, get shit thrown around and losing your 10 like I always do. But yeah, so next clip you're gonna see is probably gonna be the update of the next time, which will be probably right before we take out the actual engine and the transmission with the long tubes. And then I'm going to, yeah, so then I'm gonna attach that to the cherry picker, clean up the garage a bit, bring the car back down, push it out a bit so I can bring the cherry picker in here, and then I'll do a time lapse of actually taking it out. I'm gonna clean this area, put some wood up so that I could have the motor and the trans the same way it's like this, just in front of it, and then move the car as close to the as close to this side of the wall as possible, so that I have room to work with. Because then I'm gonna have to unbolt this trans. I sold that. I have to put that in the back of my SUV, and then here will be my transmission that I'm gonna swap and put over here, and then organize all the parts that I'm keeping. That bumper's gotta get the fuck out of my way, so I'm probably gonna hang it up there. And yeah, so it's all about organization. So when you're doing work like this, you're gonna understand that there's gonna be parts everywhere, hoses, you know, there's things in the way, there's gonna be fluids on the ground, your hands are gonna be dirty, you're gonna be hungry. So make sure when you're doing something like this that you take the time to eat some dinner, take a break, smoke break, whatever you do, organize what you've done, move some parts out of the way, clean up any fluids, and then get back under and continue, or else you're just gonna have a mess. And you know, no one likes working in a messy area. So next time you see me, I'm gonna be giving you an update on what I finished, and if I'm struggling with anything. I'm very nervous to do the motor mounts. I've never done those before, so it's gonna be probably a bitch. But after that, we should have a time lapse of us taking it out and everything else that we're doing. And then once it's out, I already have this motor sold, so the motor will be gone, trans will be gone, then my transmission will be sitting over here waiting for its new clutch and then the new flywheel to go in. And then just waiting on a few more parts to come in, and then I could start piecing my things together that I need to, putting the two valve motor mounts on, and then from there everything will be done. So I'll probably put all the new parts onto this 3-valve. Maybe within the next month I'll start throwing some parts on, as you see with the throttle body there. But yeah, see you in the next update. Okay, so after a couple hours and dealing with a lot of bullshit, ended up having to cut the power steering line because I just could not get that nut that was holding it off. I planned on replacing the power steering line anyways and buying a new power steering pump for the swap anyway, so it's not a big deal. So I got that done. The bolts for the exhaust are both off. There's one more on one side, which my dad's taking care of now, and then all I have to do is unbolt so that's done, and then I just have to unbolt the motor mount nuts and then the trans cross member, and then we are good to go to cherry pick this bitch and get this out. So yeah, so we got the support bar off, the fan, the drive shaft, exhaust bolts are almost done, wire harness is up and secure, intake is off, all electrical lines are off. Now I am struggling with, so everything's good, coolant hoses, everything. That's brake lines, I believe, so that just goes to the side. It's not a problem. I think my only dilemma right now is this line here. It actually goes back and it's part of the starter. So I'm not sure I think I'm gonna try to unbolt the starter and then pull it through. I don't know if there's enough clearance, but yeah, we're getting there. Hopefully soon I'll give an update of everything done and unbolted, so then I could just do the time lapse already. I've been here all day. This is like my second day on it and stuff. There's so much to learn, so much to do. And this is also the wire harness from the transmission as well that I pulled out. Cut the O2s because I don't have O2s anyways, no cats or anything registering. So I wasn't gonna sit there and try to fucking reach all the way up and try to disconnect this. So I just cut the O2s because I don't even have O2s. So yeah. So anyway, so we're almost there, about 90% there. Just need to get a couple little things done. Unbolt the trans K member, I believe that's called, the cross member, and then do the motor mount nuts, and then we can bring the cherry picker in here and then get this bad bitch out. All right, I'll update you guys soon. All right, after a long, bitter cold and hard hustling day, I finished the entire list except the two nuts for the motor mounts are the very last thing I need to do to get this thing out. Everything is done. I brought the car back down. I unbolted the old transmission because I sold that, so I'm putting that in my car. transferring the cherry picker to be inside the garage. So everything is done. I got the entire list done, everything except that one part. I'm saving the literally 2 fucking nuts holding me back, but it's just it's been like 10 hours. Everything's been taken apart. The exhaust is off. Yeah, everything's done, and then everything for the transmission's unbolted. I left 2 on the cross member just so it's not kind of hanging down while I'm under there. So yeah, so everything's completely done. Next week, I'm gonna be officially pulling this thing and getting it set up right here because someone's buying the motor and then transferring the transmission over here to be behind it. So yeah, so here's the stock clutch and everything. I sold the flywheel too, so I have to get that off, and all this has to go. So yeah, so geez, after a long day, everything's finally completely done. It's been a week anticipating to this moment. So next week, I'm just gonna jump into a time lapse of this thing coming out, and then, you know, and then talking more, because I do have more updates and new parts coming, especially like a carbon fiber intake for this bad boy here. So yeah, so today was a extremely long and tiring day. I'm gonna go home and get some rest. I have a long weekend filled with kids, and I'm gonna try to relax as much as possible and get some rest. Do more research on this 3-valve swap, but I'll be posting this tonight. Obviously, you guys will already be watching this, but I'm posting it the same night I've done this. So, you know, I'm just gonna keep it moving. I got everything set up, everything done. So next video, it's definitely gonna be this time lapse of us taking out the engine transmission with the long tubes connected. So excited to finally be able to do that. I got my car warming up back there because it's fucking ice cold. And yeah, thanks for tuning into this video. Can't wait to show you guys what is next, because once this is out, then it's going to be the very easy points and things, and just putting it on the engine and getting it prepared to just put it in, which is, it's super easy. The intake stays, you know, just a couple things getting swapped around, some adapters, a few wires being extended, need a new water pump and a new pressure line and new battery, and I'm going to replace it, a lot of hardware, and, you know, clean some stuff up. I'm going to do a video of painting the engine bay, cleaning it, detailing it, and then do some installs. Especially, I'm going to make sure to go in depth into this 3-valve swap, because like I said before, not a lot of people have the information and it's really hard to find it. So without further ado, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, comment, and yeah, I can't wait to show you guys this progress. All right, see ya.